Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? You can hear me now. I'm so happy about that. You might be wondering why I'm standing up here. And the reason I am is because our dear friend, Brian Vale, is not here tonight. And the reason for that is relatively minor. As a matter of fact, you might call it that nuisance medical issue. He broke a small foot bone in his foot, and he's kind of hobbling around, so he wasn't able to come to our event and come to the York meet for the first time in who knows how many years. Now, that being said, I'm here to welcome you, to thank you for coming, and also to introduce our guest speaker tonight, whom I have gotten to know through our forum, whom I have enjoyed seeing his work, and to whom you are going to see his probably greatest little video ever and how he pulled this off. I'd also like to introduce his smiling wife. She's right here. And his beautiful daughter. This is Gabrielle, and this is Jennifer. So without anything else further, I'm going to turn it over to Emil, and let's enjoy this. It'll be great.
All right, can you hear him? Is it loud enough? All right, great. Thank you, Wood, for being our host at the last minute. Appreciate you stepping forward. It's just one of those things that when I was thinking about earlier, it's just so great about this forum. I don't know when to get really started into this, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on what I think is so fantastic about the forum, is that there's always somebody willing to just step right in and help. If you have a problem setting something up or modeling something that's complicated for you but maybe easy for someone else, there's always somebody willing to take the time and help you. No ridiculing, no making fun of you, just good, honest help from the brothers and sisters on this forum. And it's like a forum like none other. And I'm really just happy to be here. It's a wonderful group of people. I hope it always stays this way and continues to grow. And I want to thank Wood for stepping in. Tonight, I want to take just a short, brief period of time, maybe 30 minutes, and show you the evolution of a video series we created called Epic Christmas Village. It started out very simply and then became something more than we thought it would. I think everyone absolutely agrees from the get-go, especially this group, that Lionel Christmas trains, the idea of Christmas trains and Lionel go hand in hand like Santa in a red suit. They're just indistinguishable. Christmas wouldn't be the same without a Lionel train or an MTH train running around the Christmas tree. There's another Christmas tradition that's equally strong, maybe not necessarily with every member of our group, and it's Department 56 Christmas Village is probably the most well-known modeling of that. How does it sound? Okay. That's the most famous. That's probably the Lionel version of Christmas Villages, Department 56. The origin of Christmas Villages started in this area. I think the earliest known villages were in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They were called putzes, which have terrible different meaning nowadays. We don't use that word. But back then, that would have meant a paper crafted buildings set underneath the Christmas tree, and not just nativity. And every year they would grow, much like Christmas villages and train layouts grow now. And that was the early 19th century. Lomax joined in with Department 56 to create less expensive buildings, much in the way MTH did. They're still beautiful and high quality. And overseas, there's a couple of companies that do a lot of work as well. And in 1998, I suppose at the time when Lionel and Department 56 realized that they both had something going great here, let's try to get it together. And that's when they came out with some cooperative products. That year, Department 56 produced a Stowe Village piece of a Lionel train shop, which they produced another one later, but this is a very limited edition first year. And Lionel, through Allied Model Works, produced a train for Department 56, and they cross-marketed with each other. I don't know why they haven't done more of that since then, because I think that they go well together as well. But that was the big year when that happened, and I guess through that marriage, there's something that occurred to us that they would match well also. I don't really come at this as a model railroader. I got into this through building Christmas villages. And then one year, something happened that changed all that for us. We added a Christmas train, a Polar Express, of course. What a better train would it be? To get some action and movement in our village. And the other thing that happened that year that changed Christmas Village creation for us was that our daughter, our oldest, Gabrielle, went to college. And we had had a tradition for years of putting together a Christmas Village, without trains really, right after Thanksgiving, that weekend. We worked all weekend, and they were getting bigger every year. But the year that she come home from college, we couldn't get it finished in time. So we decided, I'll videotape it, we'll finish it in a couple of days, email you the video, which you can't do, but I didn't know any better. And you can tell me what to correct, and we'll work on it together. You know, tradition intact. It was impossible because the video size, file size was too large. And then she said, well, just put it on YouTube and I'll look at it. I didn't even know what that was. I don't even know what you're saying. YouTube, it was only 4 years old at the time. As a practical matter, we had filmed it in high definition video, and YouTube didn't even accept high definition video then. We had to downgrade it to get it to load up. So her brothers that were still at home helped me do that, because I didn't know what I was doing. She got it, watched it, made some changes, but showed some of her friends. And they liked it. And she suggested we leave it public for anyone to see. So we figured, why not? We did, and then strangers were seeing it on YouTube and commenting, making positive comments. And we realized that we may be onto something here, that a very basic Christmas village that we really had whipped together in a few days was resonating with people we'd never met in all parts of the country, in fact, in other countries. So I'm going to show you a brief clip of that year, 20 seconds. It was our first village with a train in. It's our worst of the villages. The train's going like a bat out of hell because we had a ramp, and I didn't know anything how to adjust it. There's no Odyssey, so to get it to go up the ramp, it's got to go down the ramp twice as fast. But this is where we started.
Tickets, please, tickets. Well, you're coming? Never take the rest. You can ride for free.
So, you know, yikes. After seeing that, we thought, okay, that wasn't the greatest, but let's talk about, and these are some things we've learned through then. We started watching other people's villages on the internet, and there is some absolutely amazing people out there putting together these little worlds that are just fantastic to look at, but you can't see them because the filming and video is so bad that it's impossible to really capture what they're doing, and it's a lot of lost work. So we were hoping to maybe even put out a video helping people show their work even better and share it, because this is a great way to share what you have just in your house. You know, I mean, you could have neighbors over, you could have your train club over, maybe you could move it to a firehouse locally or something, but you're only going to get maybe a couple thousand people seeing it. But you could share your work with hundreds of thousands of people worldwide if you just put up a nice, clear, posted video that they can see. The number one thing that's important in doing a video is light. It is absolutely critical, and it is everything. The cameras are designed to take in light. If they don't have enough light, they won't take it in. You know, Department 56 villages in particular look great when they're dim. First, you know, in your presence, it's warm, and looks nostalgic. But on video, it's horrific. You need lots and lots of light. The more light, the better. And a good camera to capture that light. A camera like the one you're seeing standing here on a tripod that has a very large image sensor is always the preferred camera that you could get. But with technology the way it is today, even some of the tiny sensors in an iPhone can do a really, really good job. I guess the smaller the sensor, it's really going to be for close-up shots and things, but you can get some fantastic shots there too. But if you go to buy a video camera, and I recommend you do instead of using your iPhone, the really only thing to worry about isn't megapixels, it is the size of the image sensor itself. The larger the better. And a tripod to eliminate motion blur. There's a lot of seasickness that goes on watching videos of people that are trying to hit. Even the most rock solid person is going to have a little bit of camera shake in them. And our videos have it. There's some shots you just can't get from a tripod. You have to hold it over, and they're shaking it. It's very difficult to have enough equipment to take shakeout, but it makes all the difference in the world when the subconscious isn't noticing shaky camera work. The other thing that we had thought about in the year before our second village was playing around with the idea of depth of field. And this is right around the time when they came out with SLR, digital SLR cameras that could be used to take video. It was a combination, it'll take video images, but it uses an SLR lens, which gives you this depth of field. And what I mean by that is an area is blurry. Depth of field here, the concession stand is very clear, but everything around is blurry because we don't want you to be distracted. It's a way of telling the viewer what to look at. Look at this, don't notice that. Or just to make a very minor amount of depth of field and show blurry in the back, but everything's clear all the way across the front. So it can be very subtle or it can be very specific, but it's a way of telling your viewers what you want them to look at in that screen. The same shot taken with two different perspectives or depth of field. If you're interested in talking about the store, then you want that blurred. And if you're talking about the person or the nun, you would want the rest of that blurred. And that's a way of telling somebody what to look at in your shot without having to say it. So we added some things to Epic Christmas Village 2. We had the new Polar Express add-on train, so the train was getting longer, and a hot chocolate car and conductor car, whatever they came up with. We decided to put other animation in. The more things moving, the better, and we did that through Department 56. And we added a second train because the first train was so wonderful. We loved it, even though it was out of control. People liked it, we liked it. So let's put the red subway in. Red subway looks like Christmas. I guarantee you nobody's ever had a subway in a Christmas village, so at least it'll be unique, if nothing else. And we'll take a few shots to experiment with depth of field photography because it kind of looks like film when you see that. There's a few seconds of that you'll see here. The full train. And animation of people in town and the kid on a bicycle. And a fan favorite of a guy making a golf shot. And I think the first appearance of a subway in a Christmas Village video, as far as we can tell. Coming up here, you see depth of field shots, the blurry background, makes it look more nostalgic and film-like. And then back to regular video camera and the whole Christmas tree. So we were having fun with it, and it was growing, it was developing, it was getting better. And then we realized something. With that video, we started getting very specific comments. In the past, we'd had comments on YouTube, thank you, nice village, great train. Now we were getting things that said, I was really sad until I saw your video. It reminded me of my childhood. I didn't have a great childhood, but I feel better about it watching these. And we realized we were really reaching some people that really need this or something like that at Christmas time to pick them up. And the idea that we could share this with people who really needed to have something shared with was pretty strong and compelling for us. And it was motivating. And we don't know them, we never met them, but they were out there and we wanted to be able to share with them every year. And I think this is a great thing to be able to share with folks. And then there's also some other ones, just funny ones. And we're getting more and more as time goes by. And we have a tradition of doing it every year. People are starting to develop a tradition of watching them every year. And we're getting a significant number of comments that say, my children and I, my grandchildren and I, sit down and watch all your videos every year right after Thanksgiving or second week of December. We're looking forward to the next one. Keep it up. And the thought that you could become part of someone else's Christmas tradition, it's a fantastic feeling and an excellent way to share our hobby. Because if it's hitting people that deeply, some of them are going to pick up this hobby, whether it's the Department 56 or the trains. And I mean, I think trying to help people, share with people, be an ambassador to a hobby is what we kind of are trying to do as a forum. And this has been working out really well for us. In the time we've been doing this, we've had over 600,000 people view our villages in over 230 some countries. There's no way I could do that with an open house. You know? So, plus, yeah. So we started to think about it. How do we got to get better at this? Let's be more specific. Rather than just make some scenes. Well, first of all, we wanted to make it happy. So in our videos, nobody's getting arrested, nobody's drowning or dying, or just got hit by a car. Nobody uses foul language or anything like that. But we don't want to just put stories in and tell people, here's what happened. We try to make vignettes that are the start of a story and that can be interpreted many different ways and end up getting interpreted different ways. So that's what we try to do, is start a story that somebody else's imagination can finish based on some childhood experience or whatever they bring to the table. This scene could be a number of things. It could be grandfather and grandson, father and son, uncle and nephew, whatever you bring to it. And then we decided, okay, we're reaching out to tons and tons of people, but there are some very specific people that we want to acknowledge for pretty much every video. I think a lot of us do this in our layouts. Little tip of the hat to somebody. In this case, I had an aunt, she passed away now, and she lived in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. We used to go to diners all the time together as a kid, when I was a kid. So I wanted to honor her by naming a diner after her. If you're a Department 56 person, you know this is a pretty rare, an old diner piece. I just happened to get one. I don't know. I didn't know it was rare. But I wanted to honor her and change it from Mickey's Diner to Tippy's Diner. So I just made that modification. Now I knew that there's going to be some people get really upset if I paint over this hard to find diner. So what we did was you just took a photograph of the Mickey's Diner, photoshopped it, printed it back out on glossy paper, and glued it on with rubber cement. So we ever get to the point where we don't want the diner in the layout anymore, we just peel off the label and we didn't ruin what some people value very highly. Now how that turned out in our layout was like that. In fact, there was a place we used to go called the Green Dragon. It's like flea markets or something like that in Kutztown. And she used to take me to, that's how the dragon got on that. It's in honor of her. I used to actually be a law clerk for Maryland State Police. That's why they're in there. And my first car was an MG. So there's just some acknowledgments that. That's the kind of thing that nobody's going to notice that, but we notice it. And my aunt noticed it and felt extra good about it. But it wasn't in anybody's face. This year there's a tip of the hat that I've already put together. And I'll let you figure it out. We can work together. And so, we have a friend that lives in Maine. His favorite color is yellow. And model train for him, passenger train collector. So it's in honor of Brian and Elizabeth Vale, who have been good friends and important to us, same as everyone else here. So they'll see that. You'll see that in our village this year. For a split second, it'll be this tiny. Nobody will ever possibly notice. But they'll know, and now you'll know. It's a tip of the hat to them, and I guess it's a tip of the hat to the forum as well. And there's a lot of other ones like that, but this is just an example. And in doing that, we had a lot of fun to these ourselves. Right? So I recommend tip your hat in your videos to somebody or something that the board. All right, so Christmas Village 3, we need to step it up a little bit in our game. We've gone to 2 trains. So we decided the subway was really well received, a lot of great comments. We're going to start with the subway. And we're going to add 5 trains that run continuously on 5 separate loops. Let's just see how many balls we can get juggling in the air here. Tip of the hat. The tip of the hat in this case is, by now, our oldest son had also gone to college. And so there was a short scene in Christmas Village 3 of a stadium with 2 football teams playing against each other and their banners. We substitute the banners for their 2 colleges, Gettysburg and Lafayette. And for fun, we put animation at the very end of that video. Very basic, just a plane going across the screen in 2 dimensions. And it was just something to try. And then video layering was something else we began to add. And this was really fun, and anybody can do this. At the very end of this little clip, you'll see a drive-in theater. And this is the first place people usually do this when they experiment with layers. With a screen, we video that, cut the screen out, and put on behind it video of a Christmas Eve in our house, with Santa coming to see our youngest son, our second youngest son. Five trains coming up.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer.
Tip of the hat to Gettysburg and the two colleges.
And in case you didn't hear, oh, by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas.
And a pretty corny two-dimensional biplane moving across. The video layer, we thought it worked out pretty well. And that was the way we made that very personal. And I think as long as you're enjoying putting it together and making it personal, whether it's obvious that it's personal or not, is really where you're going to get good video images that don't just sort of lay there. Camera angle is something we sort of really started to try to focus in after that. Had some good camera footage, had a lot of bad camera footage too, learning process. We realized that the high camera angle is the lazy camera angle. Most video villages that you see on the internet, and a lot of the work we were doing too, you can tell how tall the person is by the angle of their video, because they hold their video in their face and they look right down. And if they're 5'8", it's from here. And if they're 6'8", but all you see is rooftops and long shots, and there's nothing intimate or personal about them. This is our village, and nothing jumps out and strikes you as wonderful. It's just a bunch of houses thrown together, because we're not used to looking at the world that way, unless you were flying over it, with a bird or something like that. And these terms, low, high, and medium camera angles, are the ones we made up to just keep it basic. I know that people that are into film and video professionally, this have entirely different meanings. But these are just the real basic way we were looking at it, which is low and medium angle. In a medium angle, it's not as though it's point of view, but it's still close enough that you're intimate into the shot and you can see a lot. As you get lower with a low angle, you can't see as much because you're flatter to the image, but you feel like you're more a part of what you're showing. So we like the medium camera angle a lot if you're trying to show a big area of a town or something, a broader shot. And a low camera angle to make somebody immerse into that scene and feel like they're there, or they might be there. This is the Chinatown area of our layout. Okay, so by the time we got to Epic Christmas Village 4, we really needed to pack a punch, and we were really just enjoying it even more, so we had loading so much more into it in a thought way. We have multi-layer video, which is more than just two. When you see this initial start where the schedule board is rolling over and then ending in something other than a schedule board, I believe it's 9 different layers that were necessary to make that happen and end that way. We started thinking about production value, and in this one it was simple because we had purchased the really large Grand Central Terminal. But production value doesn't have to mean dollar value. It's just something powerful, interesting, maybe out of the ordinary to put in your video that distinguishes it from something else that's out there. And the best ways is to take something that really isn't meant to be what you're using it to be and convert it into that. But I mean, the Lino Grand Central Terminal is awesome, so it's instant production value anyway. We continue to work on vignettes and look at camera angle. For the first time, we brought in a scale Polar Express, because once you're deep into Polar Express, the scale Polar Express is it. You got to go to the full size, and it's just the most beautiful. In my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful trains ever created. And then it was made even more beautiful by guys like Keith MOVL from our forum and his amazing modification skills, which I've definitely copied as best I can with his help, and continue to make it grow. We added a North Pole for the first time, and we took our animated plane and added a Z-axis to make it three-dimensional, or at least to make it appear three-dimensional. So in this case, when you see a plane at the end, it's going to be tailing off into the distance and getting smaller, riding that Z-axis into oblivion. Just to make it more interesting. This is the multi-layer video. Every time something changes, now it's another layer to make that happen. Lots of vignettes that could be all kinds of stories, depending on your personal experience. That's a lot to throw into a minute and a half or whatever. But it just kept growing and growing. I mean, I don't know what would happen if we had just finished the village the year you were a freshman. We never really would have had any of this. So it was probably a good thing that our daughter went to college and we didn't have enough time to finish. Because at this point, we were starting to have people writing to us privately, and other things. We want to see your village. When's it coming out? Tell us how you did this. Where did you find that part? You know, what's coming up next year? We want previews, we want information. There were some things we did just for fun. I just happened to find some die-cast metal Beatles crossing the street. You know, obviously the cover of the Abbey Road album. And I put it in there because I named it Gabby Road after our daughter. They were crossing Gabby Road. It was just sort of an inside joke. And we got overwhelming response to the Beatles. My God, people, I'm a little bit young probably to be a Beatles fan, but before me, a lot of Beatles fans. So this past year at Epic Christmas Village 5, we added the Beatles, you know, the invasion of America, I guess, landing at Kennedy Airport. And Epic Christmas Village 6 coming up. If you're familiar with Help, the movie, or the album, and this particular way of dress, and you pay attention, you will probably see the Beatles make their third appearance in the Epic Christmas Village series. Something having to do with the ski slope. I'll leave that to you as something to look forward to and try to find. And this is the year before our Epic Christmas Village 5 when we decided, you know, we've gone about as far as we can with some of the stock things that are out there. I'm not really a very good modeler. Jennifer's excellent with painting and things. But maybe if we get some help from friends on the forum, we can make some of these things happen that we would, in our minds, what to do. And so it's when we started coming up with the idea of adding some custom work. You know, if we can't find what we're looking for, let's just make it. It occurred to me that there was no Polar Express snowplow, although it was likely that they would get a lot of snow there. So we set out and decided, let's make a snowplow. So we took a Pennsylvania Railroad Jordan spreader that was all black and painted it in Polar Railroad colors or Polar Express colors, because we just thought that would fit. It would be fun to do, and it would be interesting. And he came out really well, and we've had excellent response to that. And then we got a little, oh, and also, with the help of Keith, we put, I guess we can see the hobo or the ghost, depending on how you call him, from Polar Express, riding on top of the car. A very easy modification to make. It must have been unbelievably hard when he was first thinking about it and figuring out how to do it. But he's just such a great guy. He walked me through it step by step. It probably took less than an hour to put a lighted, glowing fireplace and a hobo on the top of one of our cars. So we have Keith, our foreign brother Keith, to thank for that. And then we got really gutsy, and we said, all right, we love Harry Heike's work. He's here with us now. He's one of our foreign brothers, the speaker at our very first dinner, and his stuff just has this feeling to it, like it's just so real, and a lot of models are just so linear and straight, and nothing in our minds exists like that. In the real world, it definitely doesn't. In our North Pole, we wanted to sort of be worn a little bit and have some aging to it, and have character to it. And whatever it is about the way he models, I don't know how he does that. They always have that character, and it was exactly what we were looking for. But he doesn't do any North Pole things. So I said, let's just do it on our own. So we took one of his and made a North Pole paint shop where Santa takes his sleighs to get some work done. Maybe they get souped up there a little bit. And some figures that we had that sort of matched along with that. And this is also the same year that the Gold Polar Express came out. So we thought, wouldn't that be interesting if we just used that to paint the old Black Polar Express gold in one of our videos. In addition to that, we started thinking about space, because the bigger you get, you know how this works. You've all been in the same spot. You're running out of real estate. So let's make levels out of this bad boy. So the first obvious one is under the train station. You can have passenger trains in particular look completely not out of place. And it's a way of storing it. So all of our tracks are connected. We can run any of the trains that are on those tracks. But it's also nice to not have to take the entire train off every time. So we can have 6 inactive trains and another 2 running around as mains. And it looks neat. And you can also have areas for people down there, and more vignettes and little stories that could happen. And so that's what we did at that end. You see the trains are lined up. There's actually 2 behind here. And there's some stories. Now these figures start to become from varied places. Department 56 figures are interesting. They're almost always really, really big for the scale that they might be made for. So we started looking around, and we found a lot of metal figures, soldier figures and things like that from Europe. Sometimes they're not the nicest figures, you know, I mean, war is not good. So the Santa is coming to town news that's being held up by this man selling news was not as nice news when we got that figure. We dressed him up to make him Santa, because we want to have happiness. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, I'm pretty sure that's a figure of Ava Braun. Or at least that's the way it was sold. We changed her name. She's not Ava Braun, and we thought it was somebody waiting for somebody to get off of a train. So sometimes you have to do with what you can find and make the best of it. So in this final village, leading up till now, we started adding custom features, decided to put in some vehicles. We don't have super streets yet. A trolley. Started working with a camera slide, which is, whereas a tripod only spins around, a slide is like a long bar that you can move the camera across to get a very smooth transitional shot. You can do it by putting the camera on a skateboard and a board, basically, but a slide is really nice. We added a new Christmas train that you'll see. There's an SD80 back pulling all the cars that would be necessary to decorate 3 large Christmas trees. To make, a lot of this is to amuse ourselves and just try things out. We decided to go below sea and see what would happen if Santa lost packages out of the sleigh into the water. What would he do? We had friends, we had friends in Greece that we visited that year, and we had a wonderful time. And so we have some tip of the caps to them. A small chapel that we have up on a hillside in our village that are all over the place where we stayed on the island of Crete. And then for fun, we started bringing in Harry Potter, Downton Abbey for for BBC fans, and decided that the North Pole would benefit from a subway so that the elves could get to work more easily. Good work, Harry. Here goes the old tired Polar Express in for a paint job. Get a little video Larry in the doorway coming up.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10. It's glistening once again with candy canes and silver lanes that glow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store, but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be.
The vehicles are running on a Max track.
Front.
They're battery operated, and Max makes them. It's hard to find. The Polar Express trolley banging its way back and forth across. There's no good way to have one of these in your scene without it just banging back and forth. I'll have to work on that. Santa and the Hero Boy from Polar Express are on a rescue mission for some lost presents. Look at the dolphins swim with them. And Greece did look a lot like that. Those chapels are everywhere. Our new Christmas train is pulling ornaments, tinsel, stars, and rolls of lights. Gunrunner John's helped me out with the lights because I kept burning out little batteries on those things. There's the Whomping Willow and Hogwarts. And of course, Hogwarts Express. You would have to have for Harry Potter. Downton Abbey, BBC fans. There's our subway so that the elves can get to work on time. And a little bit of hand-painted backdrop, which we've experimented with and not done very well. And that's where we ended last year. Things that we are in development for this year. If you tune in and look for Epic Christmas Village 6 around Christmas time, you will find another Harry Heike building that is even more complicated. The man's a master, and he sends you a kit that a master put together, and you're not a master. It is, but it's coming across great. It's a sawtooth factory with a ton of windows. It is now a North Pole toy factory with a conveyor belt, Aurora Borealis lighting effect, and smoke, and rails that go underneath, and it's really beautiful. We've added, with the help of Lee Willis, who's just another, in my opinion, one of the genius when it comes to modeling, especially with the easy streets and the electrical engineering that I don't understand. We put easy streets around our Grand Central Terminal, upper and lower level, and we have cab service running around Grand Central Terminal, both levels. I think 7 cabs doing cab service around Grand Central Terminal. And what was the other one? Oh yeah. And since we've gone below the surface and we're up to the sky already, we decided this would be the year to go back in time. So this year, a Christmas monorail will take us back in time to 4 different time periods, with the 4th one, the last one being the birth of Christ. which, it's a Christmas village. Gotta make sense. Surprised we hadn't thought of that one sooner. So this year's Christmas village will include some time travel as well. And they continue to resonate, and every year it's growing. It's actually growing exponentially, the viewers. But we've decided to reach out. We're looking for other avenues, other ways of sharing our hobby, our love of model railroading and Department 56 villages. And we've realized and come to learn, a lot of people go onto YouTube looking for lyrics to music. Songs that are wonderful to sing, but they don't know the words, just like we don't. So we set a video it was unique for the song, to a Christmas song, and give the lyrics out. Like the olden days, Follow the Bouncing Ball. We don't have a bouncing ball, but we have the lyrics on the screen. It's sort of a sing-along thing. And we're going to try to add 1 or 2 of those every year so that people will have a place to go, sort of like karaoke or something that they can sing. But as they're singing their songs, they're going to be seeing the images of what we do as a hobby, what we love as a hobby. And hopefully, as we share that with more people, and as we have images of, at the end of our videos, join Model Train Forum. It's a great place to meet people and all of that. Hopefully we'll attract more people into the hobby that we love so much. So the last slide I'm going to show you, the last scene I'm going to show you really is a video of that. It's slightly different in how we approach it, because we're really just trying to show images that fit the music and give the words to that song. You're more than welcome to sing along.
Children sleeping, snow is softly falling, dreams are calling, like bells in the distance. We were dreamers not so long ago, but one by one we all had to grow up. When it seems the magic slipped away,
Quite clear that tree.
we find it all again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying. Hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste. There's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. Trains move quickly to the journey's end. Destinations are where we begin again. Ships go sailing far across the sea, trusting starlight to get where they need to be. When it seems that we have lost our way, we find ourselves again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying. Hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste. There's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need Just believe, just believe.
Thank you. Good. I hope you found something to take with you and maybe add to your Christmas village this year.
I'm sure you can hear me, and I'm sure you feel similarly to the way I do. What an impressive piece of work, you know? And you know what's kind of cool? He didn't do it all by himself. Harry helped him. John helped him. Where'd he go? John helped him. You know, we helped him. I think this is so nice. Thank you for coming. MTF is a great forum. We're so grateful. I'm so grateful to be part of it. And I hope all of you will come again. We'll see you in April. Thank you so much. That was so good. So good.
Q&A?
Oh, all right. Yeah. Let me get behind the mic.
So the Gold Polar Express, was that animated and in your dreams, or was that a real Gold Polar Express?
It really is cool.
We just painted a Polar Express. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine?
No, I thought it was like maybe animated.
Yeah, no, that was the real one. That was the gold version of it, the 10th anniversary Polar Express. And you know, we thought it was a beautiful train. Can you hear?
All right, I got a follow-up
Here we
question.
go. Okay, that was a bad idea.
I got a follow-up question. I was thinking when the train, you had a close-up of the Polar Express going by the camera. I thought you'd have these guys in the window, like waving.
Yeah, you can actually do that.
I know you could.
We have a green screen. We thought about doing
All you guys can do.
but we thought it would be too odd looking. Yeah, we got the gold Polar too tight.
No.
The gold Polar Express is absolutely a beautiful train. And the first thing I thought when we put it on our layout was, wow, this is literally the exact same train as the black one, you know? So it made a very simple transition to it. It won't be the last train to get painted. The 3-car California Zephyr, or I'm sorry, the Burlington Zephyr, I think you saw briefly in Epic Village 3. That gets a North Pole paint job this year from the same paint job. Because Lydell did us a favor last year and came out with a red and green version of that. So that train will run through silver and come out as a Christmas train as part of this year's village. That's just a really great building Harry put together, so that's where that comes from. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah. My handle on Model Trade Forum, you know, is TheBigCrabCake. I'm from Maryland and not small. So if you go on YouTube, type in TheBigCrabCake, you'll get my channel and all those videos that we showed tonight. The full version of those appear on there. And also the spring version of this presentation that Lee Willis gave in full is on that channel as well. And this presentation is going to get posted to that channel so that all of our members that couldn't be here because they're outside the country or like Brian hurt his foot have an opportunity to see that if they want to as well. Yeah, the question that's been asked is what is the software that I'm using to produce that? Any linear software will work well. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. Adobe has been around for a long time. Photoshop is probably the most famous still photo editing software, and that's made by Adobe. And so for me, it was a very logical transition to use their video editing because video is basically just 30 snapshots a second. So they integrate very well. There's a suite of programs. One of them is called Adobe After Effects, that you can do some things with, especially if you're working with green screen like you were suggesting. What Craig is saying, which I think I've actually seen somebody do, and I'm surprised we haven't as a group done this more. We can very easily shrink ourselves. And
Have all of us.
all of us have us walking in our Christmas villages. I haven't done it because I don't think it would be all that entertaining, to see me do that. But I do like the idea of us in a car waving or something like that. And I have thought of a project where we could do a collaborative project as a group over the internet together. One video of as many members as to participate driving through a train behind a window. And I think I could easily have, we could use it as a plain blanket behind people or whatever. Everybody could just send me a video of themselves sideways with any plain blanket behind them waving, and as many pieces I could get in, I could put that many windows in. So I had considered posting that before, but I thought that might be a little out there yet, but now you make me think it might not be a bad idea to do. Maybe next year we'll have a model train forum, Christmas train, with all of us in it, filmed at each of our houses around the country, by us, and sent in for a collaborative train. It wouldn't be that hard to do, and it would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
What's your source for the Polar Express theme music? Not the singing.
Yeah.
Is that available anywhere commercially, or did you strip it?
Yeah, it's available commercially. It's also available as a partnership with, YouTube has a partnership that you can have with artists. If you're producing so many views and minutes of time, you can enter an agreement with them where it's basic profit share. So, like in the case of our videos, there's a lot of Josh Groban singing the Christmas songs. When somebody logs on to YouTube, Josh Groban gets a royalty as part of our video. So, I've never met the man, but I guess you could say we're partners with Josh Groban in that way. So. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have access to that. So it's permitted to that. But most artists allow that. In the beginning, most of them didn't. They didn't want it. And then they started realizing, hey, wait a minute. They can get paid for somebody listening to their music, watching our videos, and then they got on board with it. And I can tell you that the people that have gone on board with us as partners have done okay. Because we've had a lot of views. Thanks, folks. Oh, tomorrow at noon, group photo for anybody that can make it in the concession area of the Orange Hall, same as we did in April. If you can be there, show up, wear your red if you have it. I can give you an extra one if you don't. Okay?